I proposed my engagement after discovering my fiancée had cheated and lied about it. Then she painted herself as the victim and blamed my childhood ex. Now everyone wants me to forgive her, but I can't. My whole community is involved. My family is pressuring me, and the person who hurt me most refuses to take responsibility. I've been reading countless Reddit posts over the last few days, desperate for some advice, maybe a sense of direction, from people who've gone through what I'm facing now. I'm new around here, so forgive me if this isn't the right place or if my English slips a little. I'm French, but I have to get this all out. It's been 2 weeks since my whole life flipped upside down after I caught my fiancée, Isabel, 22F, cheating with her ex. According to her, she cheated because she'd been feeling insecure about my former childhood sweetheart, Amara, 23F. That's honestly one of the wildest excuses I've ever heard. What really stings is how everyone else agrees with her. Family, friends, they're all telling me I should forgive her because she felt insecure. I want an outside perspective, so here's how it all went down. Me and Amara go way back. We met when we were both 3. Her mom was our nanny and took care of me too. We were inseparable, so close our mothers became friends and put us in the same school. I honestly can't remember a time before Amara. We basically grew up together until we were 13. Everyone used to joke that we were the Siamese twins of the neighborhood because we stuck together so much, and honestly, other kids sometimes left us out, but it didn't matter as long as I had her. When we were both 11, our families decided that maybe it was unhealthy how attached we were, so they tried to pull us apart. That made us realize we were really in love with each other, but coming from super conservative families, she's North African, I'm West African, there was zero chance they'd ever accept us dating. We started seeing each other in secret. Then, when I was 13, I made a stupid mistake. I sneaked up to Amara's room at night, through her window, something I'd actually done a few times before, just for us to talk and occasionally kiss. But that one time, her dad suddenly barged in and caught us kissing. He totally flipped out, tried to call the police. I panicked, tried to escape out the window, fell, broke my arm, created a huge scene in the neighborhood. It was humiliating for everyone. Her dad hated me and tried to press charges, but nothing major came out of it. After all of that, my own father decided it would be best if I went to Nigeria for an indefinite stretch. Really, it was just to split us up. I tried to adapt to life over there. Amara tried her best back home. We managed to keep in touch online though. When I came back to France after high school, it was like we'd never been apart. We started dating again in secret, well into our 20s. We really believed we'd spend the rest of our lives together. Looking back, I think we were naive. We eventually decided to tell our families, let everyone know we planned to get married one day. That went over about as well as announcing the end of the world. Both families wanted us to find partners from our own cultures, immediate tension everywhere, rumors flying in our neighborhood, the works. We tried to stick it out for a year, but it was brutal for both of us. Amara wanted us to move to another city for uni, far away from all the drama. But my father got sick, and I couldn't leave. When he died, I just couldn't fight anymore. I broke up with Amara, moved into my university student residency, and cut off contact. She left the city. It was the worst year of my life. Every time I visited home, I felt the stares and the gossip. Then, one day at a wedding, I landed at a dinner table with Isabel. She and her family had just moved into the neighborhood. We hit it off instantly. The evening was spent joking, telling each other about our lives. I told her all about Amara. She told me about her ex, Malik, 25M. Isabel explained she dumped Malik after 2 years because she wanted to wait until marriage, but he couldn't. She told him to marry her if he wanted anything more, but he wasn't ready, so they ended things. We were just 2 heartbroken people, bonding over the messes in our lives. We became friends, started hanging out. I noticed she'd get irritated whenever I mentioned Amara, so I stopped bringing her up. Then, one day, Isabel admitted she had feelings for me. I told her I still hadn't gotten over Amara yet. She said this could be my chance to finally move on, and somehow we started dating. At first, it was strange to be with someone else, but eventually, I got used to it and grew to care for Isabel. Over time though, her jealousy around Amara became painful. People in my old neighborhood liked to gossip, would bring up old stories about me and Amara, stuff like the night I broke my arm jumping out her window. I hardly talked to anyone from there anymore, but word traveled. I tried to reassure Isabel that it was all ancient history, but she started obsessively comparing herself to Amara. She had never even met her. Maybe seen a picture, but she was convinced she could never measure up. She'd ask me if various activities we did I had already done with Amara. She couldn't get over the fact that I'd been physically intimate with someone before her. It started driving me crazy, but still, I decided to propose. Isabel and I were from the same culture, which meant my family was completely fine with the match, unlike with Amara. I just didn't have the energy to go through that fight all over again. We set the wedding for August, after my studies would be done. Apart from Isabel's insecurity, things seemed fine. Right up until 2 weeks ago. I got a call from a number I didn't recognize, some guy claiming to be Malik, Isabel's ex. He told me he and Isabel had still been seeing each other and that they'd slept together multiple times. At first, I totally dismissed it. I figured Malik was just trying to ruin things for us, until he sent me screenshots of their chats. I said those could have been faked. He told me to meet up, so I brought 2 friends just in case he tried anything shady. In person, he showed me his phone, Isabel's number, their messages, everything. All the proof was right there. Apparently, they'd been seeing each other for 2 months, and Isabel had just ended things the previous week. I called Isabel and told her we needed to talk ASAP. Weirdly, I didn't even feel mad at first, just watched everything happen like it was someone else's life. My friend thought to record our confrontation, so I did. I put everything in front of Isabel, told her what I knew, showed her the screenshots. She denied it, said Malik made it all up. Then I explained I'd gone to see him, and he'd shown me proof. Stuff only Isabel would know. At that, she finally broke down crying and begged for forgiveness. We were in her room at her parents' house. Her whole family came in to see what was happening, and I had to explain the whole situation. They didn't believe me, and I didn't bother to argue. I just left. By the time I got to my family's house, Isabel had already phoned ahead and spun the story that I'd been secretly seeing Amara behind her back, and that's why she cheated. Apparently, Amara had recently moved back to our city. News to me. Now everyone thinks it's her fault. Isabel set herself up as the victim, me and Amara as the villains. I was so angry, I decided to cut off contact with everyone. It's been over 10 days since I spoke to anyone from that neighborhood. I stayed with a friend from university, switched off my phone and email, except to occasionally check on my mom. Isabel bombarded my inbox with emails, but I deleted every single one unread. That's the story so far. I don't know what to do next. Everyone's begging me to forgive Isabel, but there's just no way. The only thing I feel for her is disgust. I'm lost about how to move forward. Any advice at all? Update 1. Hey everyone. It's been a while since my 23M first post, and I wanted to say thank you. So many of you reached out with support. People have been asking for an update, so here goes. D-Day happened right at the start of finals, so I basically went numb and focused entirely on my exams. It turned out to be the best thing. Keeping busy was all I needed, and now I'm officially an engineer. I stayed totally NC with Isabel, her family, my family, basically everyone from the neighborhood. But after my final, when I got back to my apartment, everything hit me like a tidal wave. Suddenly, I felt exhausted, abandoned by everybody. I didn't even have the guts to turn on my phone to see the messages waiting for me. I just wanted to sleep. Instead, all these images kept replaying in my head of me and Isabel every time we cuddled, made out, over and over, and I felt filthy. I literally started scratching at myself and took a shower to try and wash the feeling off. I did that twice that night. I couldn't sleep in my own bed. It was too full of memories, so I slept on the floor. Next day, anytime those images got too strong, I'd start scratching myself again and go take another shower, 8 times in total. Now, I do it 3 or 4 times a day, and I'm honestly worried I'm going to damage my skin. Has anyone else gone through something like this? I really hope it's not some sort of compulsion. After that, I finally turned on my phone. Over 200 messages, tons of voicemails. I deleted everything, didn't read any of them. No way was I going to go through the same nightmare again, with people telling me the same things. I decided to go home. I couldn't keep hiding forever. I expected people to be at my family's house like every Saturday, and I swear I've never been that stressed. When I arrived, my Uncle Nathan, father's brother, 52M, was there with his wife, Helene. who everyone calls the witch, to be honest, their kids, some family friends, and my younger siblings, Leon, 13M, William, 9M, Ella, 5F. For some reason, my mother wasn't there. As soon as I walked in, Nathan started yelling at me, but all I could think about was how my little sister ran up to give me a hug. I love those kids so much. I felt so guilty for ignoring them recently. When I visit, I usually help with their homework, put them to bed, tell them the stories my dad used to tell me, and when I'm in my apartment, we talk every night. We're really close, but Nathan wouldn't stop berating me. I was sitting there, surrounded by everyone, like I was auditioning in front of a jury. Lol. Helene asked if I'd regained my senses yet because apparently Isabel now says she didn't have sex with Malik, just kissed him, and that I pressured her into confessing something she didn't do. But I know what I saw on Malik's phone. Seriously, I don't know who Isabel even is anymore. She came off as so sweet and gentle, such a charitable spirit. Like, she'd always said lying was a deal breaker for her, and she hated narcissists more than anything. But in the end, she was what she despised. It blows my mind. At that point, I'd stopped caring. I told everyone everything I'd been through and said they could believe me, the person they've known my whole life, or someone they've known just over a year. Helene insisted Isabel couldn't have done anything wrong because she volunteers and helps the community. I told her even Hitler did volunteer work at some point. Didn't mean a thing. Nathan said if Isabel truly slept with Malik, then I had a right to end the relationship, as if I needed his approval. But when Helene said it didn't matter if it was true, it was just a youthful mistake, suddenly he agreed with her. Total pushover, honestly. I wouldn't be surprised to hear Helene was cheating, and he just let it happen. The guy is tiny next to her. When they walk together at night, you'd think it was a woman with her little son. Then Helene accused me again, saying it was because of Amara if any of this happened. I kept calm and told them I hadn't talked to Amara in 2 years. Nathan said if Amara wasn't the reason, then it should be easy for me to forgive Isabel. I lost it a bit and said I'd forgive Isabel if he'd let me be with Helene for 2 months. That started total chaos. Nathan tried to come at me but was held back by friends. I told them all they were hypocrites, wanting me to forgive something they'd lose their minds over if it happened to them. Helene started crying. Nathan disowned me on the spot. I honestly didn't care, but I did feel a pang of sadness upstairs. These were still my relatives. I briefly even doubted what I'd seen on Malik's phone. Maybe it really had just been a kiss, but I quickly realized I could never forgive, regardless. I remembered a story from my own childhood. My neighbor, Mr. Diop, 50 man, who took care of me every day after school. He was the gentlest, most adored man around, but killed himself after finding out his wife cheated on him. She later moved to Canada with the guy she'd had the affair with and took the kids. I think that trauma's why I can never accept cheating. I'm done burning myself out just to keep others warm, especially not for Isabel. And honestly, I don't even know why everyone is so desperate for me to get back with her. What would they gain from that? My mom came home at this point. She must have heard what happened. She hugged me, asked how I felt, about my finals. She's incredible, always showing love through what she does. I remember coming home late from a fast food job a few years ago, and she'd always stay up for me, waiting with reheated dinner and stories, trying not to wake everyone up with our laughter. I explained everything to her about Isabel. In my last post, I didn't mention that I'd only told my mom about the cheating, not the full extent. She too thought it was just a kiss. She cried. That was the only time I'd ever seen my mother cry. Even when my father passed, she stayed strong and only cried at night, in private. Seeing her like that broke me completely, so we both cried. She told me she'd support whatever I decided. Later, I switched off my phone for a week, just played games and spent time with my siblings to try and recover. My mom received repeated calls from Isabel's parents, Monique, 48F, and Gerard, 49M, who wanted to meet. My mom didn't pressure me, but when I felt up to it, I agreed to see them, with Isabel, on Saturday. Isabel's had control of the narrative all this time. Now it's my turn. Someone suggested calling Malik under the pretense of giving Isabel a second chance if I didn't have enough evidence. I did just that yesterday. We're meeting tomorrow. Malik says there's way more to this story. For those curious, yes, I still plan on reaching out to Amara and apologizing for being mixed up in this, even though it's not my fault. Before I could message her, she actually emailed me, mad, because people kept blaming her for my breakup, but she still kindly asked if I was okay. I haven't replied yet. My brain's a mess, but I'll do it soon. I'll keep you updated. Update 2. Hey guys, a quick rundown since I'm exhausted and everything is getting much heavier. Yesterday, I met with Malik at the same cafe. I recorded our conversation. The gist: Malik and Isabel dated for 4 years. She was never as innocent as she said. He wasn't her only partner, nor her first. He's still totally obsessed with her, even after she cheated on him twice. When she unexpectedly got pregnant, she didn't know who the father was, but Malik was willing to accept the baby as his, refusing a paternity test. Isabel's parents found out and tried to force her to get an abortion. All that stress led to a miscarriage, after which her family picked up and moved to a new area so Isabel could start over. It was around then, Malik said, that Isabel decided to act like she was born again, whatever that means. She broke up with Malik, but they stayed friends. Malik doesn't have proof of everything from back then. He claims he changed phones. But he did show me chats from the entire time Isabel and I were together. In them, Isabel talks about me being the kind of guy she always wanted, a big romantic like she'd heard about in stories. Over time, she told Malik she could see a future with me and began confiding in him about her insecurities. He knows almost everything that happened in our relationship. He shared details only Isabel and I could know. Malik thinks Isabel doesn't love me. She just loves the idea of having someone like me all to herself and got obsessed because she could never feel secure. I don't know if everything Malik told me about their past is true. But everything that happened while I was with Isabel, he backed up with proof. Honestly, I'm getting angrier, and I don't like how it's making me feel. Now, I don't even want to meet Isabel or her parents. If they really knew all along, that's another level of betrayal. Still, I feel like everyone in my social circle deserves to know everything, so I won't keep getting blamed for her lies. But at the same time, I don't want to be the kind of person who exposes others like that. Maybe it'd be best to just send all my evidence to her parents, ask for their side, and then decide. Thanks for all the support on my last posts and messages. Seriously. Reading stories from others who went through years of this, some even with kids, helps me keep things in perspective. This might be my last update unless something major happens. I hope anyone else in a similar situation finds strength too. Update 3. Hey again. I didn't think I'd do another update, but lots of people messaged asking what happened next. First, thank you everyone. I wasn't in a good place last time, but I read all your comments and they really helped. So, did I meet with Isabel and her parents? Yes, my mom and I hosted the meeting at our house. Before the meeting, I sent Isabel's parents a long audio message describing everything I'd learned from Malik. I told them I was done letting Isabel play the victim while making me the bad guy. There wasn't anything left to salvage, but if the rumors and pressure didn't stop, I'd go public with the real story. Straight away, Isabel's mother called saying Isabel finally confessed everything. Her apologies were published all over her social media. I had to get a mutual friend to check because I don't use social media. I'm way too old. Yes, she owned up to it. I was amazed. Even how obsessed their family is with appearances, I didn't believe she would. So, we kept the meeting. When Isabel arrived, I almost didn't recognize her. She'd lost a ton of weight, looked exhausted, wouldn't even make eye contact. It was awkward at first, until her mother started begging me to reconsider. She only did what she did because she was insecure. I was ready for this conversation. I asked Isabel, why spend years lying about your past, about who you are? She broke down crying and couldn't meet my eyes. Her mother said if I'd ever known the truth, I wouldn't have dated her. But I told them that didn't matter. What mattered was that Isabel chose to lie, and all those lies led us to this painful place. Her parents kept making excuses, defending her. Isabel stayed silent. Eventually, they pleaded with me to just postpone the wedding, take the summer to think things over. I wasn't prepared for that. So my mother spoke up, said we'd already discussed things, and I'd made up my mind. She emphasized the meeting was for closure, not for reconciliation. She explained how much this experience traumatized me and told them about my scratching and sleeplessness. After a while, Isabel asked if we could speak privately. She promised she wouldn't try to change my mind. She only wanted a few minutes. I said we'd go for a walk, not be alone inside. For half an hour, we walked. For the first time, she seemed vulnerable and remorseful and finally took responsibility. Isabel confessed everything. Her so-called innocence was all a facade. She started having sex at 12, had multiple partners at once as a teenager, and by 18 had slept with over 40 people. She was never traumatized or abused. She grew up in a good family. She just craved validation and felt loved only when being physically intimate. She kept looking for that storybook love and got obsessed every time she heard about what I had with Amara. When her child was lost, it broke her. Her family moved. She tried to start over. She said she never loved anyone until me and thought if I knew her past, I'd leave. Her whole born-again thing was just another lie. She put off sleeping with me because she was terrified that any magic she felt would vanish and all the old emptiness would return. She admitted to everything: cheating, lying, manipulating. When she realized she'd lost me, she tried to force me to stay, then fell apart and ended up in the hospital. Her own family had feared for her. Now she started therapy. She told me she understood if I wanted nothing more to do with her, but begged for forgiveness and asked me to help her become a better person. For a second, honestly, I almost agreed. I felt empathy for this woman who'd caused me so much pain. But the feelings I'd had were gone. I needed space to heal and told her how it was best. She tried to argue she needed me to become a better person, but I said she had to do it for herself, not for me. She said she'd never give up trying to be the best version of herself, and maybe we'd reunite someday. I didn't want to hurt her anymore, so I just told her I'd moved on and not to have any false hope. She asked for a last hug and I gave it. Afterwards, I felt lighter. No more anger. Maybe it'll come back as I keep healing, but for now, it's gone. That's it. And yes, I did meet Amara again. A couple times, actually. But that's another story for another subreddit, probably. If there's interest, maybe I'll post a final update before I head off for the summer. Thanks for reading. For all your support, and for helping me through all of this. That wraps up the whole story. This story is a stark example of how betrayal, guilt, and community pressure can turn private pain into a public ordeal. Reconciliation sometimes isn't possible, no matter how many people try to push for it, and healing is ultimately a personal journey. Here is a question for you. Do you think forgiveness should come from social pressure, or is it something you can only arrive at on your own? Let me know what you think.